The G7 has struck a tough stance on China as foreign ministers discuss shared tensions with Beijing. The group of 7 wealthy countries says it opposes any unilateral attempt involving force to change the status quo in Taiwan and believes international security is firmly tied to peace in the Taiwan Strait. The G7 foreign ministers are holding 3 days of talks at the Japanese resort town of Karuizawa. The grouping says it must unite to address challenges in the Indo-Pacific. These include issues posed by China and North Korea. Still, Japan's foreign minister says the group should build a stable and constructive relationship with Beijing and work together with China on areas of common interest. For more, Michio Ishida joins us live from Karuizawa, where the G7 ministers are gathered. And Michio, if we look at these G7 countries, each one amongst them, they all have different degrees of closeness in trade and or security with China. How can they present a united front?
Well, an outcome document is expected to be released on Tuesday. That's when we'll know whether G7 members are united in the China issue. Mr. Hayashi actually gave a doorstop before dinner. And what he said was that they confirmed concerns towards the situation in the East China Sea and South China Sea and an attempt to change the status quo by force. Now, he mentioned the Taiwan Strait issue, wishing for a peaceful resolution. And that's the stance held by the foreign ministers of G7 nations. They want a peaceful and stable Taiwan Strait. And the French foreign minister, he said, has mentioned that the Taiwan Strait issue is deep in her heart. Now, this after French President Emmanuel Macron has seemed to distance himself from the Taiwan Strait issue when he was in Beijing several weeks ago.
Michio, of course, looking beyond the G7 meeting, looking beyond just Northeast Asia to the Ukraine war as well. Of course, it's early days yet. We've got 2 days to go on these talks. But what have you heard so far from the G7 meeting?
Well, we can't really say what each foreign ministers have been saying because according to the protocol of G7, the Japan side said that they're not supposed to mention what each foreign minister has been saying. But having said that, they had open exchange on views, assessment of the current situation and the prospects in Ukraine. And Mr. Hayashi, as chair, did not invite other nations to this G7 foreign ministers meeting. And the purpose is to consolidate views among G7 nations. Now, they confirmed to continue severe sanctions against Russia, and they condemned Russian President Vladimir Putin's decision to deploy tactical nuclear weapons to Belarus. Now, that is an irresponsible nuclear rhetoric, and it's unacceptable. Now, here's more from Japan's foreign ministry spokesperson, Ms. Hikariko Ono.
We do see that the situation in Ukraine and also the Russia's aggression against Ukraine shakes the very foundation of the international order. So we do have a strong sense of urgency and crisis that Ukraine today can be the East Asia or Indo-Pacific region tomorrow. As the only country which has suffered from the devastation of atomic bombing in 1945, well, Japan is deeply committed to the realization of the world without nuclear weapons.
Well, Foreign Minister Hayashi said that he aims to discuss nuclear disarmament on Tuesday along with African issues. Now, these discussions are expected to lay the foundation for the G7 summit in Hiroshima in May.
Oh, thanks. Michio Ishida at Karuizawa, Japan, where the G7 foreign ministers are meeting.